Hello students, welcome back. We are going to discuss more about the cell, the fundamental unit of life. Cell wall. Cell wall is a rigid, semi-elastic, semi-transparent and protective covering present outside the plasma membrane in plant cell, fungi and prokaryotes. Right, my students, just remember that the cell wall is present in plant cell, fungi and prokaryotic cell. It is made up of cellulose in plants, fungal cellulose, and chitin in fungi, right? Extra deposition of lignin, suberin, and cutin may be present during secondary thickening. It's not so only the primary cell wall is present. In plant, you will find the primary cell wall as a secondary and the secondary cell wall. The cell wall of plant is made up of cellulose and fungal cell wall is made up of chitin. We call this chitin. Actually, it's called chitin. And the secondary, you will also find the lignin, suberin, and cutin. A cementing layer called middle lamella is present between the walls of two adjacent cells. Here in the diagram, you can see plasmodesmata, and this one is middle lamella, the space between two cell walls. Cell wall possesses small pores through which, now as a cell wall is impermeable, right? So if this cell has to communicate to this cell or the adjacent cell, then how it will communicate? There is some gap inside the cell walls, and these gaps are known as plasmodesmata. What is the role of cell wall? It provides the shape to the cell, it provides mechanical strength to plants, protect against the pathogen and mechanical injuries. Growth of the cell wall determines the growth of the cell. Cell wall prevents the bursting of the cell on endosmosis. Endosmosis, when if more water is present inside the cell, it will prevent the bursting of the cell. It has also ability to withstand a lot of variation in nature, specifically plant cell. Why does a plant has a cell wall, animal doesn't have a cell wall? The answer is simple. Plant doesn't move. Plant has to withstand outside. Plant has to withstand. It has to bear all the unfavorable conditions, harsh conditions that are present outside. Whereas animals are the movable. They are mobile animals. They can move from one place to another for the purpose of shelter, for their protection from the sunlight or from harsh environment. That's why they don't have a cell wall, whereas plants have cell wall, so that they can be prevented from harsh conditions. Does cell wall and plasma membrane are similar in function? No. Let us see what's the difference. Cell wall occurs in plant cell. Cell wall lies on outside of the cell. It is rigid and thick. Cell wall is permeable, formed of cellulose, hemicellulose, and pectin. It provides protection and strength to the cell. Whereas on the other hand, plasma membrane occurs in plants and animal cells, lies on outside of the animal cell and inside in the plant cell. It is flexible and thin. Plasma membrane is selectively permeable. Plasma membrane is made up of lipids and proteins with small amount of carbohydrate as well. Plasma membrane holds cellular contents and controls the passage of material. It is not permeable like the cell wall. Now moving ahead. As we have discussed in part 1, the cell is divided into 3 parts: the cell wall, nucleus, and cytoplasm. We have finished with the cell wall, plasma membrane, and now we'll discuss about the nucleus, the cell membrane, the cell brain. Dense protoplasmic body that contain hereditary information, controlling cell activities as well as for transfer to next generation. Right? It is a dense protoplasmic body that contains hereditary information, controlling cell activities as well as for transfer to next generation. It lies in median or central position. In mature plant cell, it lies towards periphery. This second point is for the animal cell. In the center, you will find nucleus in animal cell, whereas in plant, you will find it in the periphery. In prokaryote, prokaryotic nuclear membrane is absent. It is called nucleoid. Now we'll learn the new term regarding the different types of organism on the basis of nucleus. There are two types of organism on the basis of nucleus. One is prokaryotic, another one is eukaryotic. Right? I think in the next slides you will come to know the difference between prokaryotes. Yeah, we have. Okay. So prokaryotes nuclear membrane is absent. Nuclear has the membrane, right? Whereas prokaryote doesn't have a nuclear membrane. In prokaryotes, nucleus is known as nucleoid. Cells like RBC, seeds elements like nucleus, RBC you must be aware of, it's red blood cells. Seed elements are part of plant tissue. They are present in plant tissue in the phloem. That is the tissue that is responsible for food transportation in plants. Cells without nucleus cannot survive for a long time. That's why seed elements are dead elements, right? And RBCs, the shelf life of RBC is around 120 days. After 120 days, RBC itself dies, right? And the new RBCs are synthesized in the bone marrow. One nucleus is present in most of the cells, but some cells may have more than one nucleus. This also we will learn in the chapter tissue, that there are the tissues, there are the cells that have more than one nucleus, and such cells are known as multinucleate. What is nucleus made up of? Here in the diagram, you can see it's the magnified image of nucleus. This one is nuclear envelope, right? That is the covering. Nucleolus, that is a dense organelle body present inside the nucleus, and nucleoplasm. Here it is, nucleoplasm. Nuclear envelope is a double membrane covering which separates the nucleus from the cytoplasm. It contains many nuclear pores. Why the pores are present? So that whatever things are synthesized inside the nucleus has to transport into cytoplasm. So, for the purpose of exchange of materials between nucleus and cytoplasm, nuclear pores are there. Nucleoplasm, it is colorless dense sap inside the nucleus in which chromatin and nucleolus are suspended. Here, we are talking about this nucleoplasm. What is the meaning of sap? Here, word sap is written. Sap is the meaning of sap is a fluid, right? So the dense fluid that is present inside the nucleus, it contains the chromatin and nucleolus. Nucleolus is a suspended particle, dense suspended material, right? Now, what is chromatin? Chromatin is nothing. It's a genetic material, right? When the cell is in resting state, when it is not dividing, that cell, inside the cell, we won't find the DNA in helical structure. Instead, we will find it in the form of a fine thread, and those fine threads, genetic threads, are known as chromatin. All right. Okay. Nucleolus. Nucleolus, a round structure found inside the nucleus. It is rich in RNA and protein. It is site of ribosome formation. Clear? So hopefully you must be clear with the nucleus. Nucleus is made up of nuclear envelope, nucleoplasm, and nucleolus. Here you can see the diagram of nucleus, the outer membrane, the inner membrane. This is entire nucleoplasm. This one is nucleolus. These are the nuclear pores through which exchange of materials take place. Chromosomes. Chromosomes are present inside the nucleus. These are the genetic material, right? Threads-like structure which are formed by condensation of chromatin. As I told you that when cell is in resting, when cell is not dividing, when from one cell new cell is not forming, on that moment, inside the nucleus, we will find thread-like genetic material in the form of a thread. And such thread is known as chromatin. Chromo. Always remember chromosome, chromatin, right? Chromatin. You can remember thin threads. Clear? So chromatin are the thin threads. They will condense and form the structure of chromosome, right? They are referred as hereditary vehicles. Chromosomes are made up of DNA and proteins. A chromosome consists of two similar threads called chromatin. Here, my dear students, you can see in this figure, this condensed one structure is chromatin, right? Why it is known, the other one is known as sister chromatin? Because it is homologous. It is same. That's why it is known as sister chromatin. Right? Two chromatins are attached at the center. You can see again in the diagram, here they are connected at the center, which is known as centromere. On either side of the centromere, chromatins are called arms. Clear? Okay. So hopefully this one is clear to you. Moving ahead. Chromosome numbers. Chromosome numbers is fixed for each species. In most organisms, they occur in homologous pair, that means in same pair. In each pair, one chromosome belongs to father parent while the other belongs to mother parent. Presence of two sets of chromosomes is called diploid, and presence of single set of chromosomes is known as haploid. For example, in humans, if 46 number of chromosomes are present, then it is known as diploid, and if 23, that is half of the 46 is present, it is known as haploid. What is the role of nucleus in the cell? Nucleus contains all the genetic information, not only for the cell, but also for the whole organism. It functions as control center of the cell, as it controls metabolism and cell activities. Ribosomes are formed by nucleolus part of the ribosome are the cell organelle. We will learn it in the later part of this video. Nucleus brings us about cell differentiation, by which a cell attains a specific structure and function. Division of nucleus is essential for cell division. Reshuffling of chromosomes and change in genes produce variation. So, because of the change in the DNA, because of the change in genetic material, variation occurs, and that's the reason we don't look alike to each other. We resembles, right? But we don't look exact to each other. Now, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. On the basis of type of nucleus present inside the cell, organisms are either categorized as prokaryotes or eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are a group of organisms that lack a cell nucleus or any other membrane-bound organelles. It doesn't have any membrane-bound organelles, right? They differ from the eukaryotes, which have a cell nucleus. Prokaryotes are the single-cell organisms such as bacteria and are roughly 1 micrometer in diameter. On the other hand, eukaryotes is an organism whose cells contain complex structure inside the membrane. The defining membrane-bound structures that sets eukaryotic cell apart from prokaryotic cell is the nucleus or nuclear envelope within which the genetic material is carried. So what's the difference in prokaryotes and eukaryotes? My dear students, remember biology. Majority of the words are from the Latin or the Greek. Okay, as we have remembered about the chromatin and chromosome, right? So here also I have a trick for you to remember prokaryote and eukaryote. Carry on, right? Prokaryote and eukaryote, the same thing is here, carry on. And in bio, the carry on words in Latin, it means nucleus, right? So pro-nucleus, that is primitive nucleus, the older one. Those are not advanced. Clear? Eukaryon, the advanced nucleus. So prokaryotes have primitive type of nucleus. That means they don't have a well-defined nucleus, as well as cell of membrane-bound cell organelles are absent. What is the meaning of membrane-bound cell organelle? The meaning of membrane-bound cell organelle is this organelle that have the membrane. Those organelles are absent in prokaryotes, whereas in eukaryotes everything is present. Like nucleus is also present, all the membrane-bound cell organelles are also present. Clear? Prokaryotes do not have a nucleus that houses its genetic material. Prokaryotic cell consists of a large DNA molecule compact in an area of cytoplasm called the nucleoid region. The nucleoid region is protected and encased by a cell wall or cell membrane. The outer layer of the cell, finally, right, similar to human skin. Flagellum, a rudder-like device, affords the prokaryotes the luxury of mobility. Difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Prokaryotes are small in size, around 1 to 10 micrometer. Organized nucleus is absent. A single DNA molecule is present, suspended in cytoplasm. Nucleolus is absent. Membrane bound cell organelles are absent. Typical vacuoles are absent. Mitosis is absent. Examples are bacteria and cyanobacteria. Mitosis is a type of division, cell division, my dear students. Eukaryotes. Eukaryotes are larger in size, 5 to 100 micrometer. Organized nucleus is present with nuclear envelope. Nucleus is present. Several DNA molecules are also present. Membrane bound cell organelles are present. Typical vacuoles are also present. Mitosis is present. Examples are plant, animals, and fungi. My dear student, this difference is important one. This is also given in our textbook, right? So you can refer to that. Many of the time it's been asked. Now, eukaryotic cell, that is animal cell. What does it contain? It contains, let's start from it, plasma membrane, the outer one, right? Inside it, this one is nucleus. Nucleus is a nucleolus. It has nucleoplasm. The entire fluid matrix that you are able to see, that you are able to observe, is a cytoplasm. Cytoplasm contains these ribosomes, mitochondria, centriole, peroxisome, smooth endoplasmic reticulum, rough endoplasmic reticulum, Golgi apparatus, cytoskeleton. All these are the cell organelles, right? These cell organelles are absent in prokaryotes. Only they are present in eukaryotes, right? So that's it for today. In the next video, we will learn more about the cytoplasm and the cell organelles. Thank you, my student.